Okay, so this is my Excel series. This is Excel 101. So we're going to just talk about basic formatting. So I have a free Excel workbook. I'm going to drop a link to it in the description of the video, but you can also find this and a lot more content at divideandconquermath.com, all for free. So let's get to it. Okay, so this is the workbook that I have for this, and I just want to note that I have 3 different tabs in this workbook. So in this series, I'll go through all 3 tabs, but to keep the videos from getting too long, I'm just going to do 1 tab per video. So for this video, we're talking about formatting. So this is really a great way just to kind of dip your toe in with Excel, or if you forgot some things about it. So I've got a few exercises that we're going to do. So first, we're going to color the square below blue with a border. Okay, so this is also just to get us used to selecting different entries in Excel. So I've clicked on this square, and so really all the things that you want for formatting are up here under this Home tab. So a lot of these things you can probably make an educated guess on if you've ever used Word before. But to color just one square, so I'm going to come here to this little paint bucket, and I can just choose whatever blue I want. And so, sorry about that. So now I've got this blue square, and the border is right here. So this right now says no border. If I click on the arrow, you can see all the borders. I'm going to choose a thick outside border. And so there we go. Now we've got this beautiful blue square with a border. Okay, so there is the idea of clicking on squares, but then there's actually a little difference between clicking on entire rows versus entire columns. So to click on an entire row, so the problem with like trying to select a row, you can't just click on it. So let me just show you what happens. If I just try to select this whole row, so notice what happens. Excel will just keep going over different columns for thousands and thousands of entries. So we can't just click on it. Instead, what we're going to do is there's all these rows over here. So we click this way, and that will select the entire row. And so once again, I can color that entire row yellow. So I'm just going to click on the colors. There's yellow. We're good to go. And I can do this for rows or for columns. So it says here, color the entire H column blue. So again, you can click on an entire column, just select the letter, and I'll just choose a different blue this time for funsies. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so knowing the difference between selecting a cell versus a row versus a column, that's going to be very important with Excel. Let's talk about a few other formatting things. So next, let's say that I have a bunch of data on like currency. So I want dollars in front of this. So if I want to change this 5 to have dollars, so notice here, this area for formatting is for formatting numbers. So if I click down here, you will see that there's either an option for currency or for accounting. So if I click on currency, now it will just automatically add the dollars and the cents. Alternatively, what I could have done is I also could have clicked on this little dollar sign here. So if I click on the dollar sign, so just watch what happens to this cell right here. So if I click on the dollar sign, it just moves. So for the accounting format, the dollar sign comes over here. So, you know, depending on what you're doing with Excel, it probably doesn't matter which format that you choose, but there are 2 different formats for that. And then let's say, so sometimes what will also happen with Excel is that Excel will auto format your numbers to a format that you didn't want. So let's say that Excel formatted a number to dollars. So if you want to turn that off, you just come up here again, and then you can just hit general. And now this 7 went from being $7 to just a 7. Other ways that you can format numbers. So let's say that I want this number to round to 2 decimals. So up here in numbers, there's this expand and this decrease decimal. So I've clicked on that cell, and I can just continue to click on this, and you'll notice that Excel is just automatically rounding. So I've had this that it rounds to 2 decimals. It will auto round for you, and so now we're good to go on that. So this is like everything you need for numbers. Just showing you a couple more examples. So let's say that I want to turn this number into a percentage. So this is kind of an interesting one. If I want to turn this 8 into a percentage, so I can click on this percent right here. So what Excel is going to do is it's going to automatically multiply that number by 100%. So that's just something to keep in mind with your percentages. If you didn't intend for an 8 to be 800%, then you would have to adjust that number, and that's something we'll talk about as we go along. The other thing is, okay, so let's say that I have this number, I want it to have commas. So there's also this little comma thing here, and that will automatically add commas to large numbers. So all of these are little formatting things that you can do. And all of them can be found really up here in that home tab. Some of them are a little more self-explanatory. You have like your different fonts, bolding, italicizing. This would be changing the font color. So a lot of these I think are familiar if you have done anything in Word. The last thing that I want to do is change the color of this tab to blue. So you'll notice here I have 3 different tabs. So these actually create different spreadsheets. But you can change the color of the tab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on where it says formatting, and then you'll see it says here tab color, and you can select whatever color that you want. And now you can see now it's purple because that's my favorite color. So okay, so that is the first part of this. So in the rest of this series, I go through the other 2 tabs. So I talk about the basics of dragging, copying, moving, and continuing formulas, and then also just some really basic formula writing to get you started in Excel. So if you found this helpful, consider hitting that like button or maybe the subscribe button, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.